Hey, this is Rob with Old Guy Tech TV, Opinion versus Opinion, and we're here today with Jonathan Charney, John Manichestic, and of course myself, Rob Charney. Thank you very much for watching, and we appreciate anything that you want to send our way. News stories, spare change, you name it, we're not above begging.
Cash.
Cash.
Send cash.
Send cash, that's right.
Starbucks, I had to explain to the young women that I worked with, since I was usually R1, I was on the register, why I took money out and traded it for folding money to put in the tip container.
There you go.
And I said, it's modeling.
She didn't understand that, huh? The
Yeah.
concept. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, you educated her, and hopefully it works better for her now.
Yes, I did.
And that's why, folks, if you look out there, you never see an empty tip jar, because if you're smart, you put some money in there so people get the hint.
She probably just thought he was a crazy old man. What does he know?
So anyway, if you're watching our
crazy old man, I don't think so. So from tips to taxes,
tips to taxes, I like that. T to T. I wanted to bring up the internet sales taxes.
Ever since that woman threw the $20 on the table.
Yeah, that's right.
You're just lurid. Okay, go ahead.
I'll do anything for this. But I wanted to talk a little bit about a bill that passed again on internet taxes, 69 to 27. And so it was actually across the table. Both Democrats and Republicans really think it's important to take your money out of your pocket anytime you buy something online. So it's an interesting bill because it...
Now, this is the feds or the state?
This is state. This is the state. And what's interesting about the bill is that I started reading it. It exempts businesses with less than $1 million in annual out-of-state sales, which Amazon, of course, is now collecting taxes, and we're going to see taxes on just about everything else because a small business that sells less than $1 million,
which is every business but Amazon, Newegg. Yeah. So basically, it's
Tiger Direct.
Yeah, it's going eBay probably.
All the big guys. But I'm going to share a story. Today we had El Dorado County District Attorney Vern Pearson in the studio with me. And we did a wonderful interview, a little bit about what's going on with him, what's going on in the DA's office. He's basically running unopposed for office this time, so we thought, let's talk about it a little bit. And afterwards, after the whole discussion, I got talking a little bit about sales tax on online purchases. And he said, let me tell you how I view this. He says he thought it's a bad thing on a version that nobody's ever thrown to me, even the sheriff hasn't. He says, you know how much it costs in annual revenues to provide security to brick and mortar stores? And he says, we don't have the actual figures, but it's surprisingly high in the fact that we have to provide shoplifting, if somebody's shoplifting or somebody's going crazy in the store, there's a break-in, whatever it would be. He says that's what sales tax pays for. And he says, and that and many other things, of course. But I thought that was an interesting take on that. And he says online sales doesn't require any of that money. So he felt that if there is going to be any kind of online sales, it certainly should be less than the going rate that a standard brick and mortar store would charge.
But you can't do that. That's not fair. Which would be Walmart, Target, mom and pop kettle. This would be all their thing. It's not
Walmart
fair.
Nobody would care. Walmart certainly wouldn't care.
Oh, yes, they would. They would raise a stink. I would not be surprised.
They have an online store.
Yes, but they
make billions.
I doubt online they sell as much as Amazon does. Amazon is one of the number one online resellers.
You have to realize that Walmart being much more urban than actually Costco, I'm sure that Costco does a huge online business from people that don't want to come into the store.
Correct.
I have friends in Los Angeles who just don't go shopping anymore. Mm-hmm. They order everything. It comes to the door, whether it be, they will go to the food market, but they order their fruits and vegetables online. Here's my biggest issue about taxing online. Yes, there is no brick and mortar, exposure. That you don't need cops. They don't need to respond to alarms. They the physical liability. There are very many advantages. But when the issue comes up about taxation in the matter of sales tax, between Starbucks and a Starbucks store not charging sales tax and Starbucks and a Target charging sales tax.
Right.
¿Por qué?
Yeah, no, we're not. And obviously that shouldn't be, but I understand that it's
The
it's a
volume
service,
that
right?
both are doing, there's got to be some clarity on just that issue. I mean, taxation and to all you flat taxers out there, sales tax is your ad valorem flat tax.
Right.
And the city is in ahead of the state, is in ahead of the. So where is the room for the federal government to come in with a flat tax?
Help me understand.
There's
something.
not.
Yeah, help me understand that something though. I mean, let's talk about this differential between a Starbucks being in a Target and then a Starbucks in a free in their own building. Now, there's taxes charged if they're in with Starbucks with a Target,
Right.
but not if they're in their standalone building.
Correct.
And okay, I understand not charging taxes on service, but they sell a product. How can they not charge taxes?
Who?
Starbucks.
Starbucks doesn't. If you go in there and you look at your receipt, it won't have sales tax on it.
Well, how do they get away with it? I don't understand.
Don't know. Worked for almost 2 years and looked at that and went, wow. I mean, if I buy, and this is a pre-packaged, pre-made $12.95 pack of their instant coffee via sealed package, manufactured.
Right. It's a product.
No sales tax, $12.95.
Really?
Unless they are including sales tax in their price at the door.
So
I
they
mean,
claim Starbucks is picking
Jonathan,
up
get on your iPad, go to
Starbucks is picking up the tab then.
go to Starbucks sales tax. At least in California, they do not charge it.
But they'd have to charge local sales tax, wouldn't they?
No, they're selling food. I think
Yeah.
the issue is they look at themselves as selling
Food.
fresh food product.
Got it. All right. Well, then I can see where they're going, what angle they're taking. Although I'm surprised the state's allowing them to do that, because anytime it's a prepared product.
I'll just give you an example of Bakersfield, California. There are at least 10 to a dozen Starbucks in Bakersfield. Having worked at one, I will tell you, people in Bakersfield use a lot of Starbucks. I mean,
Sure.
these businesses do a lot of business.
Oh, yeah.
And to miss the local sales tax and the state sales tax in California, to not get sales tax on all of the coffee sold at Starbucks, and I'll have to go to I would imagine that Pete's or whatever would be the same, but that's on a crazy amount of money. I would want to see Starbucks collect sales tax before you collected sales tax on my online purchases.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. And my understanding about this, there's this fine line between food being prepared and just a raw product that you're picking up. Example. So you're preparing a cup of coffee. Now
I'm drawing a drip, whatever.
Yeah. And now that's a prepared product, and you're selling it across. My understanding is that's supposed to be taxed. But if you go to the store and pick up a carton of milk, bottle of milk, whatever you want to call it.
Taxed, yeah.
No tax. It's not prepared. It's a raw food.
I'm sure if I picked up a package of Via in the store, it would be taxed.
I thought everything was taxed. I thought everything you
No, there was a
purchased.
difference. California, unless they changed, and they could have. I'm not saying I'm up on this. Maybe
But
somebody
you
will
have
call
sales
us.
tax. You have sales tax on your dinner tab when you go to a restaurant.
Yeah, that's because
Right,
it's
because
served
you
and
always,
prepared.
and if you are not doing this, kids, let me point out to you, whatever percentage you are taxing above the line, not below the line.
Right.
Meaning, you're not paying a tip on 10% sales tax being added to your check.
Well,
Please.
Yeah, you should.
So you're subtracting. So I know that at a restaurant, I'm being charged sales tax.
That's right.
I'm just surprised that there's actually, because
not
I always
charged
thought
sales tax
everything
at
had a
Starbucks.
tax.
Yeah, well, no, see, this is one of the reasons I want to bring this story up. There are non-equals happening on how sales tax is collected in California, and one of the reasons the internet, and it's back to the damn net neutrality issue that still pisses me off. But the reason the internet grew like it is, and we have what we have, and the ability even to bring this show to you, is the freedom and the openness and the exchange of not only dollars and cents without a tax, but ideas without a tax. Because who's to say when this internet sales tax situation comes that they're going to say at all this online content, you're providing prepared, put together online content, we're going to tax you.
I really miss the Wild West days of the internet when anything was a go. I mean, now everything is
I just hope
divided.
I didn't give some legislator an idea.
Well, the problem is our commander in chief is giving control of the internet away. So that's another thing that I just say. I think the internet is going to be in a very big trouble when you don't have people who enjoy equality of bits.
I'm very worried about it myself. What worries me is
fear.
Is the whole idea.
Yeah,
of course,
but wait a minute. Let me just interrupt. The total Jonathan, I got to say this, your total disrespect for the office of the presidency and the current president to make Hitler and Nazi-esque comments is totally inappropriate.
I have respect for the office. I don't have respect.
What
I had
you just said doesn't have respect.
For one, I was joking.
I
was joking. You can calm down. For what he does, the president can take a little jab at him. He's a grown adult. If he's not, hold on. Let me finish before you cut me off.
The divisiveness between the two sides and the constant references to being, and this is the stupidity of it, Jonathan. Out of one side of your mouth, you'll say socialist. On the other side of your mouth, when you make a referral to Nazism, it's fascism.
It's called a joke.
It's not.
I'm joking. That's the thing.
It's far too rampant in everything on Facebook, on Fox, on this, on that. It's not okay.
I'm joking. I actually don't care. I don't respect him as a politician. I don't respect him as a person. I respect the office. I do have some problems with a lot of the stuff that Obama's doing, but it's also not his fault because realistically, the president does not have a whole lot of power.
No, he doesn't. But the reference to anybody in political office.
You guys ever heard of an executive order?
That's really the only thing he can do, and he
can't.
Here's the thing: he can't actually make new laws. He can only add an addendum to, which, between that and his presidential appointees, is his biggest power, which is a lot, but not as much considering what the people in the Senate and Congress can do.
I totally disagree. But the point that John's making on the reference that goes back to something horrific as Hitler, I know it's a joke, and I know it's all over the internet now, and there's videos. There's this
it's been an ongoing joke for now 5 years, and it's inappropriate, it's incorrect.
I have a question for you,
and it's ignorant. And it's not a joke.
So the question, when George W. Bush was president and you had every major news organization comparing him to Hitler, what was your opinion?
No, I didn't see every major news organization.
There was news organizations, there was comedians, there was people like Nancy Pelosi. You had a lot of people comparing him to Hitler and Pol Pot.
Please go pull an example of George W. Bush being called a Nazi.
There were a lot of people calling him Hitler.
No. Pull up an example.
I can't at the moment. Names. It's a little hard to do it at the moment. It's not possible at the moment. But
sure it is. You post stuff up on your iPad all the time.
John,
it's convenient.
I can guarantee you that there's something out there somewhere that was written and compared him to Nazis. I'm sure.
Tons.
Yeah, I mean it doesn't matter who's in office if you don't like what he's doing.
Yes, but the Nazi and Hitler is an ape. I mean, Obama's as apes being published in a foreign newspaper. I mean, the total disrespect for this man. I mean, he has issues. We certainly have had better presidents. I have my issues with him, but damn it, let's try and maintain some level of respect, because you know what you say. Oh no, it's just it rubs off. It lingers. I've seen it happen, over more than half a century of living my life. Oh, it's just a joke. And then
I was actually joking. So here's the thing. So just a quick Google search on the, and I haven't watched it, but the quick Google video search, it says Keith Olbermann calls George W. Bush a fascist. George Soros compares President Bush to Nazis. Wolf Blitzer calls him a Nazi. Senator Joe Biden blasts Bush and Obama. So there were people that actually called him a Nazi and a fascist. The problem is, I was joking. The problem is, and the reason why I do it is because when George W. Bush was president, a lot of the people I knew that were liberal were bashing Bush and calling him a Nazi. I do it because I enjoy the reaction when they were doing it to him. And I agree. I agree because the fact that it's not fair to consider what Obama's doing on the level of
Fascism, it's a different thing for Keith Olbermann to call George W. Bush a fascist.
Oh,
because
totally.
I could easily make the argument that George W. Bush was a fascist, and because of what he was doing, that we ended up in the economic condition we ended up with, and why we have a corporatocracy in the United States, which our current president hasn't done anything about, but it was very, very heavily ingrained during the Bush administration. There's a huge difference between fascism and Nazism.
No, I don't disagree. I'm just saying. I'm saying what it is people on both sides don't actually respect the president, and it's just not going to change.
So,
when it's a Republican, the liberals or Democrats or pick or calling him, he's knifing babies, and that's just not going to change.
Who's knifing babies?
It's just it's an example of the vitriolic hatred that one side says, because they'll say it about Obama, and they'll say it
is by repeating it every time it comes out of your mouth, you make it worse. Especially on the show, it's bad enough it just came out in public, but when you make that and the problem of it is some people's sensitivities, you offend as deeply as you could possibly offend them by saying that.
Here's the thing: you're constitutionally not protected to be offended, so I don't actually care.
I know you don't care, but I do.
Does anybody know, has Obama gone back to putting a flag on his lapel?
I think he has gone back. I don't know when he stopped.
I know that he's in Italy. I'm gonna make a point of watching his coat to see, because you want to talk about being offended. His whole attitude in the beginning about not wanting to wear a flag pin, as every president had until Obama. You're talking about disrespect. There's a good example.
Okay,
of it.
I have.
Well, wait a minute. I mean, and. We could get into that, and I guess I will go there. But my issue is, I've never won. I've never been one for badges, etc., to show that I am or I am not a patriot. Yeah, I suppose the president of the United States probably should. I'll have to go back. I don't think Kennedy had a lapel flag in the 60s.
Yeah.
I think that's a much more current trend. But because I remember photographs of Kennedy, images of Kennedy as a president. Johnson, I don't think did. He might have.
What's the difference?
I have
my point is that there's a series of disrespect on both sides, and when your president makes a statement that stands out, that he's purposely not going to wear the United States flag lapel pin because it might offend some people.
I think that's a point of view and not a truth.
Well, no, but
I'll do research on that after we get off.
I do have a question
here as to whether he does or doesn't.
Well, no, it is a fact that he didn't for a while.
Across the board, the suggestion that quote unquote you need your country back and I don't. Is ludicrous and stupid on its face. And I hear that all the time. I see that all the time on Facebook. It's everybody's country, except now it's not, because he doesn't wear a lapel pin. I mean, these are nitpicky little pieces of shit, people.
Again, you're welcome to your opinion on that. It means more to me than it does to you.
Imagery,
there's even I'm not going to make a big deal of this. There's even a picture of him and his lovely wife standing at attention and putting
Yes,
her.
and that was and if you go and do the research on that, there were what was going on with people hand over heart, them with not hand over heart. It's a placement of a photograph and used to say, look at how
God.
disrespectful they are.
You're so easily to believe that. I just can't believe this. The one I was actually referring
What?
to. Is
I'm
the
so
fact where
easily to believe
Yeah.
that the shot was a different shot.
Yeah, because it is what it was.
What was
It is what
going
it
on
is.
when the picture was taken?
And the one I'm talking
Look at
about
the
is the
context.
one where.
Wait, hold
where
on.
they didn't- No.
No, I'm going to say one at a time.
Well,
One
you
at a
and
time.
John didn't do one at a time.
Yeah, I know, but no.
Look, the point is that they as a couple have showed disrespect to the country numerous times before he was elected president as well as after. Okay, he has a right to his opinion. I'm not going to argue that at all. But when you start badgering us on the fact that you need to respect the office of the man, then that goes to every level. So,
Right. Well, you don't
okay,
respect him. I mean, I could get in that argument with you, till we wrap this thing up.
I know, but
And it just runs. It's ridiculous. And when you say on this program, and it's your program to say it, he's knifing babies. He's a Nazi.
Well, here's
you
what
make
you're
references
taking
to
my
Hitler.
quote. You're for one.
The thing
He's
that
taking my
really
quote out of
pisses
context.
me off is that you're ignorant of what those words mean.
Well,
and
here's
you're
the
just
thing.
saying them to be mean, nasty, and because it's a joke.
Well, first of all, when I said knifing babies, what my comment actually was, if you heard it or not, no. Hey, listen. Would you mute him so I can?
What you said.
No, what I said
That's
was
what
what I said. The knifing baby comment was, if it was hey, would you shut up so I can actually talk, man? So
Now, what I'm saying is knifing babies is not. Go ahead and justify it.
No. Well, my justification comment was if it was Bush, the liberals would say he was knifing babies. If it was Obama, the Republicans would. What I would say is the same comments back and forth, depending on who's in charge. The other side is nonstop bashing, it's just the way it is. I mean, there's comments like Wayne
So
Madsen.
you should bash and help it get better by bashing.
It's just the way it is. Whether it's good or bad, it is literally the way it is.
No. You can't say that's just the way it is.
It is the way it
It's not
is.
qualitative.
It just
We used to have rules about bashing in the media,
yes,
about what you could and couldn't say.
yes,
And
but
media was a
that's
much
been
nicer place and actually much more journalistic when we had those rules.
I would disagree with that.
Well, wait, hold on. I do have something. There's a website I found.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. You disagree with what?
What? I disagree with the time that we had a much better press because
But everybody, including you, says the press used to practice journalism and at least 5 sources,
Yes,
and we don't
vetted.
do that now.
Some.
Sure.
Wait, hold on. Some. Don't forget, back in the past, and John will admit, there was yellow journalism. Journalism has not always been
We knew
the sacred.
what it was, and we knew when it was, and the tabloids still sit at the checkout counter.
Well, here, I did find a website. Warning, I don't. This guy put it together, so I haven't vetted anything. It says Wayne Madsen, Washington, D.C., and based Investigative Journalist, said in January 2003, Adolf Hitler would be proud that American president, by the way, George W. Bush, is emulating him in so many ways. Hitler would be remembered routinely and ignored, and ignore his militaries.
So
There are a lot of people that compared him to Nazis. Whether it's fair or not, I'm just saying that there are people who did.
That's not what I said. They said he could compare him to things that Hitler did.
Well, they compared him to Nazi.
You guys contend that Obama's coming for your guns, but nobody's come and picked up your guns yet.
Well, that argument, the gun. Wait, hold on. The gun argument is
Come to your door and picked up your guns. Has anybody in your county? Is anybody in the United States of America?
Yes.
There's one, two.
Yes.
There are one or two far-fetched examples that I've seen in the news as well.
And Connecticut isn't a far-fetched example.
No, yeah, Connecticut is a very interesting situation because there's over 100,000 people that are now illegally having firearms, and it could literally, depending on how they do this, could literally be blood on the streets. And you're going to say no, but yes, there could be military in the streets. It could be very ugly. The problem with the firearm argument.
I don't know the situation in Connecticut. Would you like to inform me?
What happened, if I remember correctly, is they were going to make all their firearms registered. And like you have to register all firearms, and a good portion of the people said no, so they didn't. Like 100,000 people or more. So
Right.
many people that the politicians did a sudden stop and go, "We're in trouble here." Like big trouble.
It was true civil disobedience, like we've talked about before.
On an epic scale.
And but I think defensible civil disobedience, because you've got Supreme Court rulings that say you have the right to keep and bear arms. So for a state to then say, well, not in our state,
Well, it's
it would spend a long time in the courtroom before there ever was blood on the street.
I got a good one for you, Jonathan. Just wait. I got a good one for you because since we're on this topic, I've got to laugh. John, you might or not. I don't know. You've heard of Senator Leland Yee?
Yeah, he
Right.
got arrested today.
Yeah. So and if
That's
you
five. I think that's 5 Democrats that are out of circulation. It brings the balance of power in Sacramento into focus.
It's funny though, but the irony of what he's arrested for. He was one of the major authors of numerous anti-gun legislation.
Yeah.
And yet
Right.
he's being arrested for dealing in illegal firearms.
I'm really curious on exactly what they meant by illegal firearms.
Well,
I mean,
I guess the
specifics.
they're
The
probably
FBI came and got him. So
Oh, yeah.
they went the ATF.
I just have to laugh at the irony.
I-
Here's the guy that was
It's starting to feel a lot like the Malaysian airplane story.
huh.
I do think there's the gun argument is a very slippery slope, because there is at this point there is a complete worldview difference between a lot of gun owners and non-gun owners. A gun owner will basically say, have whatever you want. As long as you're safe, it doesn't matter. A lot of the non-gun owners I know is you shouldn't own them. They're dangerous. They can kill people. Even sitting on a shelf, unloaded, they have the potential to kill people. And the problem...
Even a guy doing a gun safety class that kills himself while he's doing it. Accidents happen with guns.
The problem, and this is how I view it,
With
and I
cars,
could be wrong, is
anything.
there is a view now that it is dangerous, therefore they shouldn't have it. When I was a kid, and when you guys were a kid, it was kind of, you do something stupid, it's on yourself. And now they want to take it away because there's a viewpoint of dangerous.
Kids, if we didn't play with toy guns, we weren't boys.
Yeah, well.
If we didn't play Army and we didn't play Cowboy, and if I didn't have my Mattel Fanner 50 in my custom holster for the playing of these things, and we won and lost, well, we never lost World War II. We won it many, many times playing Army during the summertime, running up and down the alley, making gun noises. I think we've collectively come to the consciousness that the issue is not guns. It's what people do with guns, that's a much larger issue that nobody is capable or wants to deal with at this point.
Okay.
That some crazy
with
people
that
get
said,
hold of guns and...
I agree. With that said, let's not get back into the gun argument. I just brought this up as irony, but now there's another thing that just I came across, and it has to do with Department of Homeland Security document that was leaked recently on March 24th. Reveals that who the government considers the real enemy of the country, and in that list, they and I'm assuming it's the Senate and Congress consider the military veterans, the National Guard, and those who join Obama with his brand of democratic socialism. There's apparently a 160-page document that describes a drill going on, and it's an actual exercise, and everybody out there help us vet this story. It's called Capstone Exercise 2014.
Wait, what was the thing that people who were against Obama's brand of socialism are considered part of the enemy? Was that it?
Yeah.
Or for? Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, and
Okay.
and I want to study this more, but I wanted to bring it out so that everybody can look into it a little more. Again, it's called Capstone Exercise 2014, and because I can't vet it, but it's a very interesting story. I have a document, a PDF. It takes about 175 pages, so I wasn't going to print the whole thing out.
This is not the
But in
first time I've heard that. I've actually heard that a lot over the last couple of years.
one of the things that they're also looking at is they're expecting cyber attacks to happen through many anti-government organizations, and they're working on the ability to completely shut down the internet as we know it right now in case of tyranny by individuals that cause misinformation, that they consider misinformation across the internet.
Well, which just basically means that Comcast and Time Warner are going to be proactive in what they do.
It's going to be interesting, though. This
'Cause
whole
don't they own the biggest chunk of
they've got the fiber.
why am I
ISPs.
ISPs?
Yeah.
Google is actually who they have to worry about because Google has more dark fiber than any ISP in America. They have a ton of bandwidth.
They have a ton of bandwidth, but the thing of it is, at this point, they're not actively using it. And God,
That's the scary part.
but you just read about our dear friends at Time Warner and Comcast. I mean, that's scarier than taxes because it just means that they, this goes back to my argument from last week that the most frightening thing is media, big media, because the reason there are politics is so there can be MSNBC and Fox and CNN and C-SPAN, C-SPAN being the supposedly fangless one.
They say
But
the
at
same
the
thing
end
about
of the day,
PBS,
the
too.
only people that win with what's going on is the media, because they sell it to us and we watch it, and they the internet is so God. I mean, now the ads and the new fresher look Facebook just pop up there on your timeline.
Yeah.
Ads for all kinds of things.
Oh yeah. Well, you knew they had to start making money.
That you've been mined for at the social media place.
Absolutely.
So that, as we said so many times, but the media marketing advertising machine, basically whenever you turn this deal on, which is why you should probably either call us at 530-621-1210 and give us your opinion, or send us some money. It's like when I step out and say the NHRA should be the first live streamed motorsport. Oh my God! It's not pay-per-view. It's social media. You pay for the app.
Yeah, NASCAR beat you already.
Well,
They're
the
live
funny,
streaming now.
I have to say, the
Excuse me.
NASCAR's live streaming.
Live events.
Yep.
Yeah, because the audience is getting so small, it's not worth paying. And the NHRA is on ESPN, but it always gets bumped for girls' tiddlywinks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And live stream media, it's no longer broadcasting; it's niche casting. You can get a cast. You can get whatever you want, right?
Right.
I think the most interesting thing about what the government's doing, and whether who was in administration, because I have no doubt under Bush it was doing the same thing with all what we were talking about. I think the problem is now people just don't believe anything anybody says, whether it's the president or news media. I know more people who think everybody's full of crap.
Well, I believe, Jonathan, that it's good to question everything.
No, I'm not talking about questioning. I'm just blanket stating that this guy's just lying. Let's see what happens, because
There are more guys just lying than there are guys just trying to find out what the truth is.
Yeah, and you had that lady from CBS who
There
quit
are
recently.
more guys in the media, whether it be online or be broadcast or be radio, or even what we're doing, the live stream. That's a total message, and not it's purposeful. It's not harmless, and it's not reporting news.
And when you have investigative journalists like that lady from CBS who quit, you can tell that there something's fishy in Denmark. So I don't know.
Is that the lady that was involved with Benghazi, or was that another one?
I didn't look too much. I just read the story. I just know she said she felt like CBS was hampering down on hardcore investigative journalism. I don't remember
it was a different
She might
lady.
have been,
I can't remember her name. I'm sorry. But
because the problem is hardcore. We don't do that anymore. It's ridiculous. I mean, it is not Edward R. Murrow's television. It is definitely Marcia McLuhan's media. I mean, you can't watch it. You can't be everywhere, and you can't see everything. But it's all about the money, because every time we have an election, who makes all the money?
Her name was
all advertisers.
Her name was Cheryl Atkinson.
I don't know. I don't watch broadcast media anymore, so
I know.
I'm not the guy to ask. I don't.
I think
because it's so. Because I mean,
Yes, you're right. Star Benghazi reporter.
right.
Yeah.
And then both stories that she went with were debunked.
You see, the only issue, and there's definitely an issue whether it's true or not, but I still think.
Well, the guy that she interviewed the first time that was supposed to be the big deal, he was found out to be a liar and a charlatan. Nothing he said was true.
Yeah,
The question,
that won't be the first time.
The question is it better to err on the side of caution, or this seems like a story? Let's see what happens. I mean, because nowadays they quote somebody on Twitter.
If we go back to my argument of no more traditional journalism, it's better to err on the side of correctness and make sure you've checked it 6 ways to the middle before you put it out there. Now, is there spin? There's also, and I'm not indicting people. When Colin Powell's son was the head of the FCC during the 2 administrations of W, they basically gutted the FCC and rules about what you can and cannot say. Politically, you couldn't make a joke, Jonathan. It wouldn't be allowed. They would come in and censor you. They'd turn your mic off. You just couldn't say that. Now we have removed many, many, many restrictions from the FCC. It's basically, it's a loose cannon and a wide open channel to say whatever you want. I mean, I have cursed on this, on our broadcast, pre-broadcast, and maybe used, but I could say every one of the 7 deadly words. Would make a difference to us, maybe, but fact of the matter is, under whether it was actually the 7 deadly words aren't the 7 deadly words on TV anymore either.
You can say some pretty amazing things nowadays on television. Matter of fact, you could describe stuff and not get away with it.
Just so you know, it's still in effect. Radio. I know a little bit more about radio than I do television, but just recently on a show up here that's hosted by a past sheriff in Sacramento, McGinnis.
Oh yeah,
he had a guest on that swore, and they weren't quick enough on the button, and he says, "Well, there goes $25,000 down the drain." So anytime anybody appears on a talk radio show that's it's where they can't get quick enough to the button, they get a set of rules, and one of the big ones from the producers is, "Ye shall not swear."
Mm-hmm. So, but here's the thing.
It's the same. I mean, I could give you another example. But go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I just want to say I found a little bit of an article from the Washington Post from the Cheryl Atkinson to get a little bit better light, and I guess this is a more recent one. It's according to CBS News source, Atkinson felt that she was being kept off the CBS Evening News because of political considerations. In recent years, she has gone heavy on stories that cast the Obama administration in bad light, including the failures of Obamacare website, Benghazi, Operation Fast and Furious, the gun interdiction program. Though many of much Atkinson's work on such stories failed to make the cut on CBS Evening News, it did surface on CBSNews.com. The only one of those that really seemed iffy was Benghazi, because Fast and Furious should have been a bigger deal than it was. And the Obamacare website is probably one of the biggest boondoggles of the last 10 years.
I guess it's still not working from what I hear, but I don't know.
Somehow they got 5 million people signed up. Maybe, and 1 million of those are in California with a website that works, I suppose.
See, the problem is it doesn't seem like 5 million people. I mean, I know we're kind of switching topics. Does not seem like a lot of people.
Not out of 300 million plus.
And was it Matt Drudge? I didn't read the report.
Guys, calm down. All right?
Yeah, I didn't think we were acting up.
The projection was 7 million people by March would sign up.
That's not a lot of people.
300 million people. There was only a 40 to 50 million person gap that didn't already have health coverage. So I don't know what I mean, you guys are going off.
No, well, I wasn't going off. I'm just saying it just doesn't sound like a lot
Now,
of.
5 million doesn't sound like a lot.
It doesn't, considering the population of the United States.
You
And
don't
from
understand, do you understand what the ACA is? Do you
Yes.
know how many people were uninsured?
I've also known a lot of people who had insurance who got it canceled. So what I'm saying, it just doesn't sound like a number.
That doesn't
Well, I
say what you want to say.
well, I know at least at least.
Jonathan, your future for the next 30 years is the darkest thing I've ever seen in my life.
all
Nothing works.
Well, all I'm saying is I know at least 3 or 4 people whose insurance got canceled because it didn't meet the requirements. So they had to get.
Because the ACA, and the president was totally wrong about this, requires that there be certain material facts and functions in your health insurance policy.
Yeah, well-
Having sold the product, there were products out there that were just total bullshit.
And
Pay
so-
me money, and then when you need it, sorry.
All my shock
If you don't want to eliminate those from the market, then it's okay.
Well, all my shock is because if I know people who've had that problem, there's got to be more. So it just seems like a low number for the amount of people that are losing who have lost their current coverage. So my question really
You want to check the ACA against net gain and net loss. The biggest obvious problem with the ACA is that they don't want to implement it into businesses, because it's gonna this kind of fallout that's happened on the individual level is going to go on again.
So
And it's going to be, I'm sure the Democrats don't want that to happen before the 10-14 election, where they look like they'll lose the Senate already. So
one of the things that that we're experiencing that you don't hear about a lot is on the retirees side. What's happening with Medicare, Medi-Cal in California, in different areas. What's happened is Paula, 65, she's experiencing this issues. We chose a drug plan, Part D, that
Right.
that would cover specific medications that she needs to take. She's got some she needs to take that cannot be generic. So we sign up, we do the whole Part D and everything, and nobody tells you that after everything's done, the sign-up period is over with, that the drug companies can come and change the rules midstream. And we have had a situation with her alone, 2 particular drugs that her doctor says she must have, not the generic, but the actual drug, because the generic is not working. And we've had a fight, tooth and nail, hours worth of phone calls, many letters, to try to get through for just to get that she can get approved for an exemption, so that she has the right to take the drug that was initially said to be okay. So
how do they change rules midstream? I don't
what's
understand
happening
that.
is, well, the drug companies, you get a sign-up period. I believe it's October through January 1 for Part D drug plans for seniors. Anybody 65 and older. And you sign up, and you name it, there must be 200 different companies offering drug plans, okay? And so what we did is we sat down with our agent and we went through the list of all these different drug plans, what it would cost us, what it cost out of pocket, who covered what drugs. You know, one year she had, believe it or not, it was called Reader's Digest Part D, and it worked just fine. But this year going forward, we went with AARP because it covered the specific drugs that she needed. The period came, it closed. After it closed, they went, oh, well, we didn't really mean that. And then they had a list of pages full of drugs that were not generics on it that we will not carry those. We will not cover those now.
Was that AARP or Liberty Mutual or whomever owned the...
Yeah, it was AARP, their
Wouldn't-
drug plan.
Wouldn't that be AARP saying?
The AARP doesn't self-insure for a drug plan.
No.
They have an insurance company.
But they're still selling the Part D plan. So they use somebody, like you said, maybe
So
Liberty
wouldn't-
Mutual.
Which is why I'm not a member of the AARP. It's
Wouldn't-
become a huge senior marketing tool.
Oh, yeah.
Wouldn't
Oh,
it be
yeah.
the AARP that changed horses midstream and not the drug companies?
No, it's got to be. like John said, they don't actually sell it. They're like a middleman.
Well, yeah, but it's whoever their insurance company is. It's not the people who make the medication. It's the people they're using for the drug companies. The people who they're using for the insurance saying, no, we can't allow that, right?
And guys, Part D and I have heard some Social Security nightmare stories. My doctor dropped, and I'm going, I don't know if that's ACA, and or whether it's just Medicare.
Yeah.
The issue of it is these things, Paula's case, my issue is, are they telling you that the Affordable Care Act will only pay for generic drugs, or is the insurance company telling you they will only pay for
I don't think it
generic
has
drugs?
anything with the Affordable Care Act. I believe it's the actual underwriter has decided that they don't want to pay for.
Because the way to beat them is if you investigated the policy, as you said, and I know you did,
right.
and when you signed up, what you signed up for said we pay for this drug, and then they're saying, well, no, we don't pay for that drug.
Right.
Then you have an actionable cause against
right.
the insurer.
The question is,
And
what
we're
about
doing
this?
that. Wait, hold on, John. We are doing that, but it's an incredible process that they're forcing us to go through, right? So what happens? The majority of people don't want to fight. They don't. Oh God, I'm not gonna fight this. Well, we're not that way. We'll fight so that she can get what the doctor tells her.
And unfortunately, and this is the part we discussed this when Jonathan said, we don't have enough time to do that. Well, with all of the internet and everything else, we should have mounds of time to do this. But the question is, how much of my time do you want me, at the end of the day, most people say, screw it. I'm looking at a situation where I have no money, but I'm willing to pay a penalty amount of money I don't have.
Yeah.
We won't go into the don't have part.
Yeah.
Just because it would be more convenient to put it off a month.
I do have a question, though. Doesn't it depend on the fine print? Because, it's just like, for example, when you buy like pay-per-view or you do other things, it always says at the bottom that, we have permission. We reserve the right to change it to whatever we want. I mean, if you have the small print, that's within their right.
Well, then you can.
Right?
The problem is because of the small print, you can decide not to. But a dear friend of ours had a baby with a disease. I was his medical insurance agent at the time, and I remember we went to the Hawaiian burger place on Pico Boulevard. I forget the name of it. And we're having a burger, and I'm looking at the contract from Blue Shield, and I went, they tried so hard to omit it that they used commas and then therefore isolated it, and it's covered. And my friend said, say what? This friend is now a judge.
Yeah.
And I said, look at this, you know English. By setting that out in commas, they isolated it, trying to exclude it, but by doing what they did in English words, they included it.
Yeah.
And he read it, and he goes, you are absolutely right. And we did call the insurer the next day and say, you declined this, and right here, you see this? You can't decline it because you include it by what you say in the contract.
Yeah.
They paid $57,000.
Good. They needed to. That's what they were there for.
And believe me, this did not hit the paper.
Yeah.
And those commas were gone pretty doggone quick. There was an amended contract issued. So the thing of it is, the issue of it is, and Jonathan, this is kind of why I got after you at the beginning of this deal, is my father used to say to me, I can tell by the look on your face you've been participating in stinking thinking. We have a negative attitude. Maybe at the end of the Obama administration, maybe we don't have a negative attitude. I wish it would be that easy. And this is why I'm trying to elevate my thought, and I'm trying to elevate the thought of people around us to not be divisive, to try and say, well, there's some common ground here. We can talk about this. This guy's not a rat bastard and should be shot the firing squad tomorrow at dawn. The rat bastards that really are responsible would have gone long ago. The question is, what are we going to do about it to change it now? And not throw our hands up and say, screw it, it's screwed up, I can't do anything about it, it's done. Put the lid down and put me in.
I never said, it's hopeless, but I'll be honest, I just... Well, no.
I think you have.
No, I don't. Well, I don't think the country's hopeless. But the question is, I never said, what do I think was required to make it more hopeful? I really, when it comes to the president, I just think he's a poor politician, and I could give you a couple of reasons why I think that.
Well, I think that you're wrong again when you say politician, because he got himself elected twice. That's the politician part. Now, is he an effective president that can gain people's support and confidence in office by his actions and his deeds? No, I don't think so.
I guess so. Yeah, you're right. He's really good at speaking, but
He's a very good politician because on the politics side, he's been very successful. On the administrative side, he's been very unsuccessful.
Okay,
so let me ask this question. If we knew everything that we knew today and it was election time, do you think he'd still be reelected?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because he's black. I really do think that had a lot to do with it. And I
like that.
I think it's. I think the fact he was black had a lot to do with it, and he was.
I'm sorry.
And he's an amazing speaker. Well, with a.
I don't think he's at all an amazing public speaker. He does not motivate me. I mean, I've listened and I've listened for this great public speaker every time, and I go.
With a teleprompter, he's amazing.
Well, yeah, he's got some great writers, and that he does.
I mean, the last guy that could play it off the cuff was Billy Jeff, and he has a unique ability. I mean, Clinton, he could make it okay.
Yeah.
Kind of like FDR could make it okay. Kind of like Kennedy could make it okay.
Right.
Obama, nothing he can say can make it okay.
I do have a reason why I think Obama is a failure, and it's not 100% his fault. I really don't believe it. I do think it's policies. I do think it's the people around him. The problem really is when the economy is still failing, no matter what people in office say. A lot of responsibility goes on the leadership. Like if you look at Clinton, a lot of people think Clinton was an amazing president. Part of that was because the economy was booming.
Well, but Clinton also took and talk about somebody on the progressive side that has a problem. Clinton took a booming economy. He signed off, and we passed NAFTA. And the day we did that, the boom in the economy, the B got a lot smaller.
Yeah, it did.
And so all these great things and I admire Clinton on many levels. I also think that the president of the United States should probably get a BJ if nobody else has given him one, and he's got some time.
There's got to be a senator. There's got to be a senator. There's got to be a senator who too.
The fact of the matter is, and the current and and I will do the research and provide us this new backdoor Asian NAFTA that we're trying to ramrod through. I think is the biggest dishonesty of the Obama administration. And he's trying to package this thing up and pass it in the middle of the night, which will sell out. It's as bad as NAFTA, but it's worldwide and in particular targeted at the Orient, where we don't need to give them any more advantage.
I do have a question.
Sure we don't.
I do have a question, and the statement after that is, I've read more and more from people on both sides where this current administration, the Obama administration, is the most secretive administration and the least respectful of journalistic integrity almost in the United States history. I've read continually how he's very secretive. What do you think?
The media has never, ever been like it is now.
Yeah,
you've never had one network affiliate that's sole job in life was to call him out and make misstatements and mistruths and blogs from people that would have been a very, very non-mainstream point of view without the advent of the internet. He's taken more guff than the paper was one thing, because there was, as you said, there was yellow journalism and there were people smearing people in the paper, but you had to be able to read. Now, reading's not so important. So the print media is not so important.
I don't know too many people who actually take a lot of blogs serious, unless it's Drudge and a few other sites. Most of these,
And the reason
and unless
it represents an ideology, so
yeah.
it has, that's where it's at.
Well, I don't. No, I totally don't disagree. But I still know a lot of people who think like Washington Post and all those mainstream, the ones that have name, have more weight versus, I don't know.
But here's the same thing. We try to envision that the newspaper industry is what it was decades ago in the United States.
I don't know if
and
it was back then.
You had the Hearsts, and you had the.
It was the only way you could get news.
Well, no, I mean,
right? Was in a paper
Now
format.
you have the Tribune Company that owns the papers in what, L.A., Chicago. They're all, and you now have the Fox entity, which owns the Wall Street Journal, owns the.
I think
again, the media is so bought and paid for, and we're so bought and paid for as its audience. It's difficult to participate in mainstream media at all.
I'll be honest. I really do, and I could be wrong. I think the mythology of the media always being fair and balanced traditionally has been untrue. I do think there has been eras and times.
No, there were liberal papers and there were conservative papers. It used to be all newspaper. Yeah. Then it became TV, and then newspapers became TV. And then it's just one great big smoldering cauldron of bullshit.
I think the difference really comes between how far apart the sides have come. It's very polarized.
I think the difference comes to how far apart they have divided us, and we have bought into it.
And I did want to say, far as my comments in Obama, I don't like the guy as a politician. I really don't. I do think, however, he'd be a very interesting guy to have coffee with.
No, I think
but
you don't
besides
like
that,
him as a president. I think you do like him as a politician. He's gained your attention as a politician.
I think the guy's a lying scumbag.
And he wins. He wins.
I admire him. I admire him as a politician. I don't like him, but I admire him. Any politician who can get elected on what he said and do very little is a hell of a politician. I admire him for that.
But you can make an argument that, you've got a do-nothing Congress led by John Boehner that's going to work 91 days this year, whether they have to or not. They're all a bunch of scoundrels.
Oh, totally.
All a bunch of scoundrels and scallywags, and they should be thrown out on their ass. But is it? And here would be the question maybe to pose for next week, and I'm going to bring this trade issue back as well. Are the politicians broken, or is the government broken? Or do you just want to break the government and create a new one?
I think the checks and balances are broken.
Well, guys, we're close to wrapping it up, and we sure have been battling it out today. And I just want to wrap up a few things for those of you, if anybody's watching or watching this later. We covered a number of different topics, and we agreed to disagree on a number of things. But the beauty of what we just went through, and total disagreement, is the fact that we have the ability to do just that. We have the ability to talk, to disagree, to hound each other, to tell a joke you might not like, whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, we have the ability, thanks to the First Amendment, to sit here and state our point of view.
Because I'm going to get really hateful and nasty once we get off the air.
Yeah, that's right. But anyway, I want to just wrap the show up by, on a positive note. We really are trying to do something here that we don't find in the mainstream media. It was the whole idea when we sat down and we decided, hey, you know what, we're going to start this show called Opinion versus Opinion. And we kind of have a very interesting mix because we have multiple generational individuals here. We've got people on both sides of the political stream. And yet we can still discuss this thing and battle it back and forth and actually have a good time doing it. But it can't continue much longer if we don't get your donations. And, go to the website and if you would please, as I've begged before, $5, $10, $20. If you would just help us continue, we'd really appreciate it. Wendy,
It's easy to do. Somebody gave us $1,300.
that's right. Wendy, I love you. I'm sorry you didn't call and be part of the show today. I think it would have been interesting. Maybe next week you can join in.
I want to do what that kids TV shows did years ago. Kids, take that little green piece of paper from your mom and dad's wallet and send it to us.
Soupy Sales.
That was Soupy Sales.
Soupy Sales. Good old Soupy Sales. I love the guy.
6 figures he got.
Yeah.
He's the one that they wrote the law about.
That's all because of him. He did a great job. But anyway, with that, I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to say, hey, this is Rob with Old Guy Tech TV, Opinion versus Opinion. Thank you, John Manijestic. Thank you, John Charney. And thank you for out there watching. We'll see you next time.